So it's still happening. The volume changes at 2 minutes and 24 seconds. So be prepared to turn it down. If we wait till I figure that part out, we're never going to get a seed in the dirt, or I'm not going to at least. So I've got my bag of potting soil. There are so many options. And again, this is why I try and stick to basics and joyful gardening, because if you really want to get and dive deep into all of the different philosophies and expert opinions, there's so much that it's hard to know even where to begin. Soil is the base of most of your nutrition, so you do want a good reliable source of soil, and you want a nice fluffy substrate to work with, which is why you don't go out and just get dirt out of the ground. A lot of the times it's maybe too sandy or too clayey or too compact, and if you get some potting soil, that consistency is what you're after. There are definitely seed starter mixes that have the right nutritional composition that's best for your garden, are for starting seeds, but honestly, I've used all kinds of things and they always work. So get some potting soil, mix it into a container where you can pre-moisten it. Okay, so I'm using a little like a camping wash bin type thing here. I'll show you in a second, and I'm putting a bunch of soil in it. As part, we are co-op members, so we got some potting soil at our local co-op. So you've got the soil in a container because you're going to want to add the moisture first. Because it's so light and fluffy, if you put it in your containers first and then pour water on it, you're going to see a big compaction, and you're not really going to want that. You're going to want to kind of have the compaction that's going to happen prior to putting your seed in and watering it. So got a jug of water here. I'm going to pour it in. I'm going to mix it up. Maybe I'll take this video and be able to edit it, take out this portion that might be taking a bit longer. The consistency you're looking for is like a crumbly brownie mix, I guess. So it is going to condense it a bit, and you're going to feel that moisture. Now containers, you can use anything, anywhere, anything that'll hold some dirt. I've saved and used these in the past. However, I have found trying to get them out of here and then transplant them can be a struggle. So I had an idea, which was, here they are, which was to put a coffee filter inside of it first. And two, I'm going to do, in these ones, I'm going to do stuff like herbs, like a bunch of basil seeds. But if I put the coffee filter in first, one, it's still going to let the excess moisture drain, but I'm going to be able to lift this out and then transplant it into the dirt without having to try and dig and lose them all in here. The nice thing about these containers is you, in the beginning, can create a little like greenhouse effect with it. Okay, so I'm going to start some herbs in one of these ones. I also have a lot of my containers that I've saved from different flowers and plants that I bought in the past, so I'm going to use these. So yeah, first thing to remember, most important, is pre-moisten your soil. The second thing, mistake that people often make that you're going to not want to, is be sure to label whatever you've added into your containers. So my plan, I try different things every year. One, I'm a collector, so I have all kinds of different things I can use, but I've struggled at finding the things that work best. So this year, my plan is to use a color-coded system. I'm going to have a key. And so whatever I put the blue star on, so let's say I put my tomatoes in the blue star, I'm going to put then a corresponding blue star here and write tomatoes at the top on my key there. So then when I go back and look, I know what's coming up. It's important to label so you know, because a lot of them look the same, especially in the early stages, okay? So pre-moisten your soil and make sure to properly mark your containers so you know what's growing where. That's kind of a fun project to even make your own little, popsicle sticks, or look on YouTube, look on Pinterest. There's all kinds of ideas for that kind of craft, okay? So fill your containers quite full. And then when you put your seed in, remember, you don't want to bury your seed. You don't want to go too deep. Just make a little indentation about a 1/2 inch in for bigger seeds. And you can not even make indentation and just sort of fluff the dirt around it if it's a smaller seed, like lettuce seeds, or other like tiny herb seeds. You can just sprinkle some more dirt on top of it instead of trying to bury them. If you bury them, it's just gonna make it a little tougher for the seed to pop out. And I'm gonna have to edit this one for sure. Okay, so let's put some seed in this dirt. Where are my tomatoes? Okay, peppers. We'll start with some peppers. Got some Verno peppers here. Habanero, I mean. Not that we're big spicy fans, but they sure are pretty. I think you all got some of these. So I'm just going to put a few in my hands. Now, I always put a couple of seeds in each container, just in case one of them does not germinate, right? These seeds that I have so many of and was able to hand out freely is because I got them free. And I got them free because they are outdated. Now, do not worry. So far, everything that I've planted from them has had a pretty high germination rate. And even with brand new seeds, you can sometimes have ones that don't germinate, but their germination numbers probably do go down the older they get, but you'll still have plenty that are viable. So that date, it's just like if you had to be sure you were getting a 90% germination rate because you were, dependent on it to feed your family. Back in the day, that would have been quite a big thing. Okay, so I just put a couple little seeds in each of these 6 spots, so I could potentially have 12 plants coming up. The idea usually is if one is growing nice and big and strong, you can remove the other to thin it out so that one plant can get all the nutritional value. If you've got good healthy soil, if you think you've got some good black dirt to grow your stuff in, and we've got really great soil. 1, where we are. 2, it's a biodynamic land that we have out here. Plus, we compost a lot and do a lot of things like that. As much as I say it's inspirational gardening, be happy, much like Jamie's coffee table funny that she shared with us, ladies. I've got a guy in the background that's doing a lot of work to make sure my soil nutrition is high. But even before he was around, I used to grow a pretty great garden. So don't worry, I will share some of his secrets with you as well as we get further along in the series. Okay, so I've got pre-moistened soil. I've got my seeds in. Habanero peppers. I guess I'm going to use my green sticker to mark these ones. And then I'm going to write that down on my key as habanero peppers so I know what's growing in that one. When you go to water just in the beginning days, you can just even use a spray bottle, okay? And you're going to spray it to moisten the top. When it's good and the soil's dark, you know it's probably still has a good amount of moisture in it. If it starts to lighten up, you know you've got to add moisture. It's the beginning days. That seed needs to be constantly moist, okay? Not drowning, but moist. And then even in the early days, while the roots are getting established, you're going to want to make sure it's got access to water pretty consistently. Having said that, you know, you want containers that have drainage, and you want to make sure whatever they're sitting in or on, I'm going to use these lids so that I don't make a mess in my house to capture any excess water. But I'm also going to water from the bottom eventually so that the dirt can soak up the proper amount of soil. And I'm going to make sure there's not a lot of excess water sitting in here, because your roots could, especially when they're young, rot if they're sitting in the wet for too long, okay? So consistent watering in the beginning, spray bottle works good. And then once they've sprouted and you know the roots are coming, you can water from the bottom. The dirt will soak that moisture up and off you go. Okay, the last important piece, I guess, is you've got your dirt, you've got your seed in the dirt, you've got it watered, and now you need some sunshine or light. Now, a lot of people will tell you the sunlight, even in a good south-facing window, is not going to be enough light. And we have started using grow lights, okay? Your lumens, you're gonna look for light bulbs that have the lumens between 1,500 and 3,000. And what's my other? And you can get like at Home Hardware, Lowe's, not Home Depot, sorry. All those places have. Oh, and then the Kelvins should be between 4,500 and 6,500. Okay? One day I'll get really good at these videos, and I'll even have those words show up at the bottom of the screen, potentially. Yeah, I do plan to get better at this. So if you've stuck around this long and are bearing with me, fantastic. Okay, did we cover? We've got some seeds starting. There's more I want to tell you, like about frost tolerant. You can start some lettuce, greens and onions and peas. Even though it's early for them and they grow in the garden really well, they're frost tolerant. So if you want to have access to some of those veggies a bit quicker, and they'll do best and grow best when it's not in the super heat of early summer or midsummer. So getting them started early is a great idea, especially if you have limited space and don't have room to put them in a more appropriate spot so they're not so hot, right? All right, so we've covered starting some plants, watering, what kind of soil, the kind of light you're going to want to give them. If you don't have that light right away and you are just going to use sunlight in your windowsills, once they do start coming up, you're going to want to turn them. But I'll do a video on that once my plants start sprouting and leaving, and show you a bit more about that. Okay. Hope you liked it.